Yo guys, welcome back to a new video on Fuzzy Garms. Firstly, thank you so much for the support recently, it's been nuts. We're a very new channel, so on my FIFA channel for example, I'm used to getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views on videos. Some of them have had 40, 50,000 views, so that's awesome, but we're a relatively new channel and some of the videos we've had have got double the views to subscribers, which is absolutely awesome. But that does mean that those of you that are watching these videos aren't subscribed. So if you want to be part of this journey and everything we're doing, make sure you subscribe down below. Get involved. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully a year, 2 years, 3 years of us building this from literally a Depop shop to what we hope one day will be an online vintage place whereby we can obviously buy and sell goods but help other people to do the same thing. Vintage clothing's only getting bigger. As time goes on in the UK, the market gets bigger and bigger and bigger. People are being more aware of sort of fast fashion and the unsustainability of it. So more people are doing it and it's my passion. I absolutely love it. However, this video is one that I have not really seen anywhere on YouTube. I've seen one or two guides to them, but all of those are very specific to the countries they're from. And it's about how to ship items once you have sold them. And it's vitally important because number one, your shipping costs, if you don't get them right, can cost you, because it means, let's say for example, you are charging £2 to ship a t-shirt, but that t-shirt's actually £3.10 to ship, which is what we find. Then that's something you have to be mindful of. It will cost you money. You don't want to lose money from shipping. It should always be covered by the buyer of the item. But also different ways you can ship, how you can compare prices of what you ship and what you should be using to ship your garms. So we need to start off initially by talking about shipping in general, okay? And the first thing that I would say to you is the most important thing with shipping is that you do it quickly, okay? The quicker you ship, the cheaper the service you can use. So let's say, for example, someone buys a t-shirt from your shop today. So you've got a Depop or from our shop and they buy it today. If it's before 3 PM, we will usually always send it the same day. The reason for that is most people expect to wait between 5 to 7 days for an item. It's just the generic sort of wait times people expect. Now, if we wait 2 or 3 days to send that top, we've then got to send it first class, which is much more expensive than second class. But if we send it same day, we can send it same day second class. It's picked up that day. It's probably processed the next day. It's then out for delivery on the second or the third day. It's usually maximum 2-3 days that it takes to reach the customer that buys our garm. Now that's important for us. Number one, because it saves us money. Number two, because it also means that whoever's buying our item gets it quickly. There's nothing worse than waiting too long for your items. So that's something to be mindful of. But shipping is an art. It's not something you go, okay, cool, I'm just going to use this one method and that is it. So what we'll start by talking about is how we ship and what we use to ship our items in. Then we'll talk about different services. So let's get into talking about what we use to ship our items. All right, so let's talk about what we use to send our garments. So I'll show you the first thing that we use, and this is generically for things like t-shirts or smaller items, hats, stuff like that. This is a postage bag, and it is, this one here, the specific one that we use is biodegradable. Now it's very difficult to find good quality stuff that is biodegradable. We're trying to be mindful of our carbon footprint as much as possible. We're still a very young, small business, so we have to be careful of our costs, but we are trying our hardest. So these ones here are biodegradable. Now the most important thing to know about these is buy these in advance. So we spent, I think when we first set up, about 18 quid on buying hundreds of postage bags and postage labels. I'll show you the other bits in a minute. It comes to about 2p a bag, 3p a bag. If I go and buy a postage bag from the post office, they're going to charge me £1-2 a bag. It's not worth my money to do that. It's much better to go and buy these in bulk. Yes, it means an initial outlay, but let's say, for example, you've gone and bought 5 t-shirts. You've spent at a car boot sale 8 quid on those t-shirts. You then go and send those for 40 quid. I would invest in bags in advance. You can get them very, very cheap. Just look on Amazon, postage bags, whatever it is. But these ones are biodegradable, and they're what we use most of them for. Second ones we've got are slightly bigger. I'll try and get one out for you now. Yeah, that's going to annoy me because everything's going to be loose, but hey ho. And these are our bigger bags. And this is a bigger postage bag here. This will fit most garments inside of it. A jacket, anything like that will fit inside of this bag. They're not gigantic, they don't need to be. I think it's A3. But you can fold it up, you fold up the items you get. It's massively important you do that. You don't want the items to be too big, which I'll explain in a minute. But this is for bigger items. So like I say, jackets, potentially shoes. But we'll talk about shoes again in a minute for a bit more of interest to that. But that's the 2 postage bags we use. We also invested in labels. So there's a big whole pack of labels here. These are basically 2 per page. We print and pull them off, stick them on there. These are recycled, so they are good for the environment as much as possible. But you can just use a trusty Sharpie. Literally, you can just draw directly onto those bags with a Sharpie pen should you wish to do that. We think it looks better with the labels on them. They cost next to nothing, so we did the labels and that's that. So that's the basic items. However, when you put items into this bag here, if you put a t-shirt into this bag, what will happen is t-shirt will go in and air goes into the bag. And that increases the size of your bag, and it also don't increase the weight as such, but it makes it more likely that when you go to send the item, especially if you're using Royal Mail, you're not going to get this through cheap as you should do. So, here's a tip from me. When you get the item in this bag, you close the bag up, okay? You stick it down. What you want to do is you want to put it down on your lap and you want to push all the air out of it. If you are sending a t-shirt and you do that right and you level it out, you can send any item you get pretty much as a large letter. Any t-shirt, pair of shorts can be sent as a large letter. It's not always, but 9 times out of 10, we can send them as large letters, which saves us some cost on shipping. If we can send as large letter, we tend to then send it as first class because that's what the buyer has paid. We're not looking to make money from our shipping. I know some people do, and fair play to them. We'll send it first class. If we can get a large letter done with this, we will send it first class. But you want to squeeze all the air out of it as much as possible because that makes it a lot easier. It also means it moves around less when it's in transit, which is just a nice thing, I think. It's better if it comes in one sort of solid parcel. But that's just me being a bit OCD on that. But that is literally all you need in terms of sending most garms. However, if ever you buy yourself shoes, if ever you go to a car boot sale and you buy shoes, if ever you buy shoes from anywhere, if they have the boxes, keep them. Too many people throw them away or recycle them or whatever. They are massively, massively important for sending items. So at the moment we've got, I think they're in there actually, we've got a pair of Air Max for sale on our Depop. I've got an Adidas box. I will send those Nikes in an Adidas box because it makes it much easier. We then will just tape round the box, stick a postage label on top of it, and that is how we will send that item. It's basically a free, what do you want to call it, container? I don't know. But a free method to do it. I haven't got to go to the post office and buy them. But the most important thing here is you buy in advance. You do not buy from the post office. They overcharge like mad for single items. It's not worth it. Even for multi-packs. Multi-packs of postage bags at a post office. I think 10 at my local post office is £8, 80p a bag. I can literally get them for 40 times cheaper than that for 2p, 3p each if I buy them online. So do not buy them from your local post office. But that's what we use to send. Now let's talk about couriers and stuff like that. We'll talk about my experiences with them and where best to do it. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Alright guys, so this is Parcel Monkey. I am not affiliated to them in any way, shape or form. They don't know I'm putting them in the video, hopefully they don't mind. But it's, for me, one of the best comparison sites for checking what shipping is going to cost you. Now, I'm going to be blunt with you. Most of the stuff you send, just send via Royal Mail because it's a lot quicker and easier, especially if you strike up a rapport with the people in the post office. We have a relationship with a post office near my brother's and they tend to be quite lenient, I'll put it that way, when we come to send stuff. Don't get me wrong, if it's clearly not going to get through the thing, they won't do it. But if there's a way they can get it through, they've got this little sort of plastic thing and you can put it through holes, and if it goes through those holes, it falls into that category and it makes it cheaper for you to send. They can be a bit more lenient. But for example, what you want to do is you've got parcel delivery, get an instant quote, collect from United Kingdom, deliver into United Kingdom, parcel weight, let's say 200 grams, for example. Get a quote and book. And you want to just check what it's going to go for, okay? Now, the reason why I say use Royal Mail for most of this stuff is most courier services are really more interested in bigger, bulkier items. That's not true for all of them, but for things like t-shirts and whatnot, you ain't really going to get any better value than Royal Mail, realistically. So that's something that I would be mindful of when it comes to sending. Royal Mail's probably going to be better value for that. It's not always the case. And also certain delivery services aren't always on Parcel Monkey, or you can't see all of them. So what you could do, if you don't want to use Parcel Monkey, is go specifically to each of these websites and check what it would cost you. But again, to get a rough idea, same something that's half a kilogram, get quote and book. Again, the price does not change. So £6.49 again for DHL Parcel UK next day, £6.49. They don't change. It's only when you get to certain weights that suddenly the price goes up or down, and that's the same for Royal Mail. They only really get anywhere with that. So if you're sending a really heavy item, or if you're sending multiple items, so the other day when you saw the video where we made £150 in half an hour, we sent all that as one item. If that had broke too far past 1 kilogram, we'd have sent that via a courier. Because it stayed just underneath, we sent it via Royal Mail. But you can work it out. You can have a little look at Royal Mail's prices, go onto Royal Mail's website, see what they do, and then you can also have a little look at what these guys do. So you can compare the prices, but make sure you compare your prices and know what is best, know what's going to save you money. It's vitally, vitally important. However, a big however here. I've had experiences of using a lot of these companies here, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've got opinions on them, and I'm going to share those opinions because there's no reason not to. DPD, I'm really not a fan of DPD at all. I don't like DPD. I have sent 3 items with them in the time that we've had this business going, basically. One of them was never picked up, and 2 weeks later, the guy asked me where our parcel is. I rang DPD, and they said they'd lost it. I then went back to the pharmacy that I dropped it off at, because they do a thing whereby you can drop it at a local shop, they'll pick it up from there, and they said that DPD just never collected it at any point. That parcel then got lost. I have no idea where it is, if the pharmacy lost it or DPD lost it after I raised the concern. So that I lost a whole pair of shoes, I then had to buy it back, and DPD offered me nothing in return. I think they offered me like a tenner in return. The compensation to cover it, but it was an expensive pair of shoes. Then I sent another item, and it arrived incredibly damaged. It wasn't damaged when it left my house. It ended up incredibly, incredibly damaged. I was not a fan of DPD at all, and I'd struggle to use them again, I'm not going to lie to you. Hermes have quite a bad rep, and I've used Hermes a few times, and I've got to be honest with you, never really given me a problem. I think they're slow. I don't think their delivery times, they say that it's going to be always that accurate. I've had people complain that things have arrived later, or they've not arrived till the next day, and things like that. But Hermes aren't too bad. They are quite cheap, so not too bad. DHL are good. I really like DHL. Parcel Force are alright, but they're just sort of a Royal Mail brand, realistically. I wouldn't use someone like City Sprint. DX I've never used, if I'm being entirely honest with you, so I'm not going to lie and pretend like I have. But I would be mindful of DPD. I'm not a fan of DPD. I know a lot of people like DPD, and they're entitled to that opinion. Of course they are. I'm not a massive fan of DPD at all. I prefer Hermes, and that's a weird thing because most people tend to prefer DPD. But out of all of them, I prefer good old Royal Mail. I'm not going to lie to you. Royal Mail for me are the best. They're the most consistent, the most accurate. Recently, they've been missing their delivery times on first class mail. I've been seeing that more and more. But we have to allow a bit of leeway because we are literally in the middle of a pandemic. And so for me, if I send a parcel and it takes one day longer to arrive, most people are relatively understanding of that. They don't kick off. They don't have an issue with it. But as a generic rule, just to sort of sum up this part here, I would say for me, I would use Royal Mail as a standard for delivering your items and sending your items. Royal Mail as a standard. Make sure, if you get one of those post offices, because we've all got them, the post office that is a stickler for the rules, or try and convince you to upgrade, and they that don't build up a relationship with them. Find a post office around you that you like, and make sure that you sort of become friendly with them, so that they are sometimes willing to be a bit like, right, that can go through, it's fine. They will do that if you do well. If you're sending something bigger and bulkier, for me, the first point of call would probably be DHL's next day service. I think it's $6.49, and when we send a fair few items together, we'll send it via DHL. I do like DHL a lot. They are relatively solid. Hermes ain't bad. I'd avoid DPD, but I know some of you would disagree with that and you're entitled to that. But I would use Royal Mail as a stickler. But the way you're going to save yourself money in terms of packaging and time is get it sent ASAP. If you're working, of course, you can't always send it. But a lot of people are like, I've just got home from work. I have to see what time I get home from work. Take that parcel with you to work. Send it when you're at work. But if you are starting to think about doing this as a job, if you're younger and you haven't got a job right now, and you're thinking, right, let me try and start a business. The most important thing you can do with shipping is goodwill. It's vitally, vitally important. We're going to go over all that to sort of sum up the video in 2 seconds time. So I'm going to be back and we'll go over all the details of how I will send it and what I will do. Be right back. All right, so what is goodwill with shipping? For me, when we started up the business and we started doing it, the one thing that I said I wanted, and to be fair, it's my brother, he's extremely hot on this, is making sure that stuff gets sent quickly. The reason for that is the rapport it builds. When you've got a Depop shop or an eBay shop or anywhere that you sell your items, people do genuinely look at the reviews and see what you're doing. Now, our Depop shop has 5-star reviews. It's got 31 reviews on the moment and they're all 5-star. And loads of people talk about how quick it was to arrive. And that builds up goodwill because if someone else comes onto your page, they'll look at that and go, okay, cool, that's great. I like that. I want it quickly, so that's perfect. But it also means if that person wants to buy something else from you, then they're going to come back to you again because they know they can trust you and they know they'll get the right item in a decent time. But on top of goodwill with that, it is other things like if I'm sending something expensive, I will wrap the clothes up individually inside the parcel. I'll try and make sure they are looked after and protected on their way to the customer. It's vitally important that you treat customers as if you want to be treated. So I make sure I wrap that up. You can literally go and buy tissue paper online in big rolls for a couple of quid. And it's a really cheap investment and it's a really nice touch to wrap it in there. Another thing that I do when I ship is we leave a little sort of ticket. Well, we haven't done recently. We need to get back onto it again, but we normally leave a little ticket inside of it, which just says, "Thank you for buying from us. Please don't forget to leave a 5-star review for us on Depop if you are happy with a purchase. Any issues, get in touch." And that again just is another reminder for them to leave you reviews. Reviews are vitally important. And again, it's just more goodwill. You can leave links to Instagram if you've got an Instagram on there, to YouTube if you're doing YouTube like I am, your eBay, all that sort of stuff. But it's definitely something that I would do. It doesn't take very long to print those off en masse, and it's decent. Again, thinking about carbon footprint, if you can do it by writing it onto something, some recycled paper, something like that, for me, that's a better idea. But it is just good. Remember, you need to be, I will always say, be mindful of the environment, but you are also building a business. So initially keep your costs down and just send it with what you need to send it. And then bit by bit, make sure that you're reducing that carbon footprint as much as possible. But yeah, decent quality bags. If you buy bags that are crap quality, send them back. They should stick well. They should be easy. You should be able to squeeze the air out without the lid popping open. All that sort of stuff is just vitally important. But that really is the basics of shipping and how to do it, I guess. A lot of people sort of saying to me, "Oh, can you do collection from your house?" Yeah, but would I really want to right now? No. But a few of you had questions, so I thought I'd answer them. Just for me, remember that shipping is not a money-making exercise. I know a lot of sellers on eBay do that. They'll say they're sending it a certain way, send it a different way. Shipping should just be what it costs the customer to send you. Goodwill is so vitally important. We try not to make any money from shipping. Realistically, if the buyer has spent £3, £4, £5 on shipping, we will send it via the best method possible for the money they have spent. We deduct for the fact that we've got to pay for some of the shipping equipment, but it ain't that expensive realistically. We'll send it via the best method we possibly can that fits with what they've paid. And again, that's goodwill, it's respectful, and it's how it should be. But that is going to be the end of the video. If you are new around here, please do consider subscribing down below. Clicking the like button, all that good stuff is massively appreciated. Thank you to those of you so far that have subscribed and are joining us on this journey. Hopefully you're enjoying these videos. We're going to keep bringing them out. I'm going to try and get to sort of maybe 2 uploads a day now. One sort of how-to and one maybe sort of pickups each day. But yeah, that is it from us. Peace out.